labor generally at our properties represents the largest controllable cost. As we like to say, it's 70% of our controllable costs, or maybe 30 to 40% of our total expenses is labor. And if we only do one thing well, it should be labor. We don't want to step over step over dollars to collect dimes. We really need to do labor right. And labor during COVID was challenging, and it has not gotten better. There's a labor shortage, and there's really no easy solution for it. I think Seniors Housing Business did a recent survey of operators here in the U.S. and found that about 62% of the respondents felt like staffing and labor was the industry's biggest challenge to tackle. Danny, going to you, how have the labor shortages and higher expenses affected, your properties or seniors housing? And what is, one or two solutions that you're putting in place to really combat the labor challenge?
Yep, that's a daily conversation and focus for sure. And with the acquisitions that we've completed, you can imagine, a lot of the current conditions are strained around, the lack of labor, either in their practice and their process to recruit, retain, as well as from a pay practice view. So it's certainly, when we go into a new acquisition, usually labor is the first lever that we look at. And we see oftentimes, how to kind of get the premium labor costs out, whether that's a third-party agency or overtime. We've really focused a lot on cleaning up, scheduling, and being more flexible with our shifts, whether that's an 8 or a 12, or weekends only, or whatever we can do to accommodate and to make sure that we're giving that flexibility. We've also spent a lot of time trying to incentivize everybody differently. And in our model at Chapters, we make sure that, oftentimes it's common that you see a buy-in fee or a, one-time admission fee. We take all those dollars aside in our underwriting, and every 60 day we pay that out to our hourly associates. So long as we have two move-ins of 4.5 or greater on Google and no complaint surveys. So we're trying to do things like that. We're doing something similar with our benefits and trying to do different things that give them value and that ownership of the building. And we've seen a pretty nice shift, as well as our competitors and the industry as a whole is doing better labor. So you're seeing the agencies starting to cancel shifts. And so we've seen a nice uptick in applicants that are actually coming from the agencies over. But we have a long way to go, and I don't think it's ever going to be stable. We have to just constantly find different niches and ways to engage and reward our associates to keep them, to retain them as long as we can.
Doesn't sound like it's just one thing to solve a massive problem. It's going to be a series of many things, and probably many small things. Jonathan, from your perspective, what solutions have you guys come up with to solve and mitigate the current labor challenge, particularly at your properties in Australia?
Yeah, great question. And I agree with both you and Danny that it is absolutely an area of core focus, major importance, and at times challenge. So I guess I'll share with one structural thing that we've done, and then I'll give you some other points as well in terms of some other ideas that I've got. One structural thing that we've embedded in our business is that we don't use any agency team members. Now, that's a commitment for us that's been a big challenge to uphold. But what we felt was that it is very hard to deliver on your promise when an agency team member is going to get a call in the morning to say, could you come and fill a shift, and possibly never be back in that location ever again, never having any contact with a resident again, having not received the training that for us is so critical. And so what we embedded within our organization is an idea called the self-accountable roster. So each house has a house, or location has a house manager, and they have a core team, and that core team needs to form and really bond as a team. And in bonding and forming as a team, they need to help each other out during sickness or during times when they need to fill shifts. Now, what that does is that forms an incredible amount of camaraderie and an incredible amount of loyalty around helping one another out, knowing that our true commitment is that we will not use an agency team member to fill a shift. Now, obviously, in extreme circumstances of illness or accident, then we'll step in and support that team by bringing in team members from one of our other locations if need be. But in general, that promise is upheld. And we found that that's had a big impact. The other thing that we've done is that we have, in terms of our structures, that we've completely turned our org chart upside down. And while it might sound a little bit cheesy, our residents are at the top and our front row care team members are really at the top of our org chart, and everybody else in the organization, including myself, is there to help support them to do the incredible work that they do. And they genuinely feel a sense of being revered and being celebrated as being the most important people in our organization. Now, what that also translates to is an incredible amount of investment in them, training, recognition, development opportunities. But the core thing that I think makes a difference is that by elevating these team members to the top of our org chart, we've given them an opportunity to have a career pathway. And what we find drives that retention is that in typical, call it organizations in the sector, they're at the bottom of the chart and they don't really have a huge career pathway because generally the registered nurses and some of the other roles seem to accelerate past them in terms of leadership positions. And what we've done is we've made sure that those front row care team members have career pathways and see promotion. So some of our leaders now in our organization are those people that started off with us as a carer and have just grown and soaked up every opportunity. And we've seen that that has had a big impact, not just on the team inside in the organization, but in terms of our reputation of them telling their friends and other team members who now want to join and be part of what we're doing.